want to talk a little bit about Jesus today. Yeshua. He goes by all kinds of different names. You know who we're talking about. And I want to say, this is very controversial, but Jesus was a magician. Jesus was a high priest. Jesus was a sorcerer. He didn't do black magic, but he certainly performed a great many number of miracles, and knew how to work with energy, knew how to move energy, knew how to work with the elements. He knew how to change weather. He knew how to, I mean, let's go down a list of stuff that Jesus did. He conquered death. So I guess you could, you know, he's better than any necromancer that's out there that's working in the dark arts and is a dark high priest or a dark high priestess. I mean, he conquered death, went and got somebody and brought him back. So it was 3 days late too. And apparently the body had back then they didn't have refrigeration, and the body had started to become have an odor to it, starting to rot. And because he was supposed to have come and healed Lazarus, but he didn't make it in time. So because he didn't make it, he made up for it by bringing him back to life. Now that's getting it done right there. And then of course he conquered death on his own, died and came back, and that's a whole different feat right there, for you to do that for yourself, not have any help from anybody. And then of course he could do levitation. He walked on water, so he could levitate his own body. He could create material. He was a master manifester. He took, 2 loaves and 5 fishes and fed 5,000 people. That's something right there. Talk about creating matter and making more out of just a little. You just have a small sample and you create enough to feed 5,000 people. That's something else. Turn the water into wine. Again, that's changing material matter from one form to the other. He could work with the weather. When he told the storm, to cease, to be still. He told the wind and the thunderstorm to calm down. Calm down, and it did. That's some high level magic right there. Now, a lot of people that are inside the religious dogma of our time, I'm talking about organized religion, they will, they'll agree that Jesus did some amazing things, but they label them as miracles. They don't want to call them, magic. They don't want to call them, sorcery or, anything like that. They don't want to, they have this preconceived notion, a stereotype about magic and about high level, they say, oh, Jesus didn't do that. That's blasphemy. Why is that blasphemy? I mean, he did the very things that high level priests in the temples in Egypt used to do. Remember Moses? That's another grand master magician too. Look what he did. So, he hit a rock and it busted in two and water come flowing out of it in the middle of the desert. Now I know all these people that are naysayers, they go, well, that was just because, and they want to explain it away. Well, not everything can be explained. Not everything needs to be explained in a practical sort of way, because some things just aren't practical. You know, some things, walking on water, there's nothing practical about that. That's a real life miracle. And it's magic. Now you can put whatever label you want to on it. Magic, miracle, either way, Jesus was a magician and did amazing stuff through just his words. Now some of you all out there will go, well, that's because he was the Son of God. I'm not going to debate who or what he was. I'm just saying what he did. His actions and what he actually did with his healing hands. Healing hands. His hands you put his hand on somebody and cause, people that were blind to be able to see. People that were sick, put his hands on them and they would heal. Now, like I said, you can label that as a miracle, sure. But let's don't get hung up on semantics here. Whether it's a miracle, whether it's sorcery, whether it's, black, and what wasn't black magic. Even what Moses did wasn't black magic either. Again, I've mentioned this before. It's intent. What are you intending to do? Now I know some people out there, they'll say, well, Moses had bad intentions because he was throwing frogs into the middle of Egypt, and he was, and he said if they didn't put blood above the door that they would, from a sheep, they would wind up having somebody killed, the firstborn killed in every house. That's black magic. Well, no, not necessarily. Because he's a messenger of God. God told him to go tell them that. So, if God tells you to go tell somebody that, hey, I'm going to flip your car over, and then I'm going to throw you if you don't if you continue to attack me, I'm going to throw your damn car over. And God told you to say that, or God told you to do that, then it becomes you're working on behalf of the divine. You're working on behalf of the Creator. And whatever you say comes from the intent of the Creator, and whatever you do is on behalf of the Creator. You tell somebody, you better get the fuck out of my way. I'm on a mission here, and you're standing in the way of God's plan, and they want to start doing all kinds of terrible stuff to you, and you say, all right, I'm gonna flip your car. God said get the fuck out of the way, and they don't. Well, then you flip the car. It's their own fault. If they get hurt, it's their own fault. They should have stood down. They should have got out of the way. So they should have quit acting a fool. You tell somebody, I'm going to throw fire. It's like Ezekiel back in the Old Testament. He told 50 men, if you come against me, all I did was speak the truth and told what the king was doing. And the king's wrong. And I spoke up and said what needed to be said. God said, what he's doing is wrong. Now you come up here on this hill, I'm going to burn you off. I'm going to burn the hell of you. Burn the hell out of you. I'm going to burn every fucking one of you. So 50 men tried to come up the hill to Ezekiel, and he rained fire down on them. Now that, some people would say, that's evil. That's black magic. No, that wasn't black magic. That wasn't evil. That was Ezekiel doing stuff on behalf of the Lord. Behalf of the Almighty, the Creator. It's totally different. You're working on behalf of the Most High. You're working on behalf of the light. And there are times when the light has to be so bright that it blinds people permanently. There is times when the light has to shine so bright that it scorches people. There is time when the light has to be so powerful that it destroys people. Sad but true. Because when people won't listen, when people won't do the right thing, when people won't show up the right way, when people want to do things their way, not the right way, their way. When they want to do that, then hell, fuck them, you know. Now, some people on here will get all touchy and everything because I use some cuss words. I do. I have, you know, maybe I'm not perfect, okay? I'm not sure that anybody really knows if Jesus would cuss to people or not. Now, do we really know that? I say we don't. Do we know that Ezekiel didn't cuss people when he was telling them he was telling them he was going to rain fire down on their head? We don't know that. Just like we don't know if Moses, whenever he threw the tablets down and broke them into a million pieces because he was mad at everybody when he come down off the mountain with the tablets, with the 10 Commandments. We don't know if he didn't lash out the people with some cuss words. Tell them to fuck off and you sons of bitches and everything, you know. We don't know that he didn't say stuff like that. We don't. He may have. Did God stop working with him? No. Did God stop working with Ezekiel if he might have said something like that? No. And if Jesus, oh my goodness, if Jesus accidentally let out a bad word in a moment of anger when he was whipping the people out of the temple with, you know, literally whipping the people and turning the tables over when they were selling stuff in the temple. If that happened, then I'm telling you, God didn't quit working with Jesus. Now, did he? He didn't turn away and say, "Oh, I'm done with you. You're condemned." That didn't happen. So, Jesus was a magician. Jesus was a magi, okay? Jesus was visited when he was born by 3 magi. What is a magi? That is 3 magicians, okay? Y'all need to start understanding this and wrapping your head around it and being able to deal with it. Those magi were not black magic magicians. You can do white magic, and you can also do gray magic. Remember Gandalf in Lord of the Rings? Well, there you go. So, and I know that's just a book, but that's a fine illustration of what I'm talking about. Intent. True evil versus intent, and good intent, and who you're working for on the behalf of. You working on the behalf of the divine, or you working on behalf of evil, of Satan, or demonic forces? So, just a little food for thought.